Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our first 2025 Discover What's Possible webinar on how to track, manage, and monitor with user fields. My name is Julianne Manning. I'm the product specialist here at Sarant, and I'm joined here today in the chat with several members of our team, including Alex Clay, our CEO, Sherry Sneeden, our support manager, Jennifer Nelson, our support engineer, and Chris Widener, our marketing specialist. Before we get started here today, I want to highlight some recent announcements. First, we recently opened registration for our annual user conference that is happening this September. This will be our 25th AUC, so we hope you will be able to join us. It is a great time to not only learn more ways to utilize CDM Plus, but to network with other users and learn how they utilize CDM Plus too. Make sure to take advantage of our early bird pricing, and when you do, you will be entered into a drawing for a $300 Amazon gift card. So if you're planning to come, now is definitely the time to sign up. Another training opportunity is right around the corner at the end of April. Our team has put together a virtual 2-day training called Successful Bookkeeping with CDM Plus. You can join us for just $49, where you will receive 2 days of comprehensive online training over CDM Plus accounting, as well as unlimited resources to the recorded session and training materials. This is a great opportunity for new staff or for anyone on your team who wants to brush up on their CDM Plus accounting skills. Also, make sure to check out our Discover What's Possible webinar series page on our website. This series is designed to highlight different features of CDM Plus that you might not know about or that you do not use often. We hope that after coming to a Discover webinar, you'll learn something new that makes tracking your organization's data even easier. So what is a user field? We had a couple people who asked that question, like, I'm not even really sure what it is. So a user field is where you, the user, can create a custom field to track the information you need for your organization. So anything you need to track, you can do so with the user field. And these are user-defined fields. So we're going to talk about how in the master coding system, you can set this up, or you can always set this up on the fly in the different programs that you have. But you can create different fields that are, text fields. So maybe you need to add a special note to a field. You can create text options there. If the field can be numbers, you can have it just be whole numbers, or you can even make it 2 decimal points. If you want it to be yes/no questions, you have that option. If you want to track different dates, time, raw data, you can actually upload files, and so that you attach those files to vendor records or background checks, web pages. These are all the different ways that you can really utilize these user-defined fields. These are available in just about every program in CDM Plus, from address records, individual records, giving unit records, customer records, employee records, roommate resources. So if you want to take a picture of the setup of a room and you want to add that picture to that resource, you have that option so you can refer to it later. Event registration, if you want to track allergies, room assignments, medical forms, all those pieces, ledger entry, and more. Some of the common uses that we see for user fields: track background checks, you can store contracts for vendors and customers, you can track medical forms for events, store employee paperwork, store an invoice. If you want to add a supporting document for a ledger entry, track certification, the sky truly is the limit. So whatever you need to track, you can do that with a user field. All right, so let's take a look here. I'm first going to go into CDM Plus. So here, if I go to File at the top and I go to my master coding system, I am on a Mac, so you can find that under File. If you're on Windows, you'll probably see that underneath the CDM Plus icon. But if I go into our master coding system here, and from the left sidebar, I'm going to click on User Fields. You can see all the areas of the program that you can add a user field to. And in each one of these, you're going to see a couple of different options. So in our in our sets, you're going to see this loose set here. This is where you can use this set for any kind of loose file, any kind of loose field you want to kind of add there. Maybe it's not so much related to anything else that you want to kind of group together, but that's just kind of a way to kind of assign it to a set so it's kind of all stays organized here. You're going to also see different fields that actually do relate to one another. Maybe you can create a set for those fields. And when you do that, you have a couple different options. Um, One option I can do is I can lock this set together. And if I lock this set together, when I go to enter in the data for these fields, and I enabled the lock set, it's going to automatically populate all three of those fields. So this can come in handy in regards to like, I want to make sure that I collect all the data that I need to. So I'm going to lock all of these sets together underneath background check. And that way, when I go to enter in the background check information, I know I need to enter in details for all three of those fields. However, maybe I have different trainings and it makes sense to kind of group them together underneath a training set, but you don't necessarily have to add documentation for each one of these trainings when you add one. So in this case, I have the training set. I've listed all my different user fields here, but I'm not going to lock them. This will allow me to be able to kind of add them individually when I need to, when I go to that individual profile. So we're going to show you more details on how you can kind of add these different sets and fields here in just a moment. But I want to show you how you can kind of see these in real live action here. So again, these are different user fields that I have set up for my individual records program. So if I close my master coding system, and if I go to program, membership, individual records, and I'm going to look for the individual. She just completed a background check. So I'm going to look for her here by setting up a find. All right. And you'll see that one of my tab options here below is my user fields. So if I click on my user fields option here, all those fields I created in the master coding system are going to be over here on this left-hand side. Now I'm going to click on change. And I'm going to click on the background check set and choose to enable this set here. And so now, since they have locked all of those fields together, all three of those fields are going to populate for me because I know that I need to enter in the data for all three of these fields. So here I can enter in the date. So let's say she just completed the background check yesterday. And we have people get background checks every 3 years. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the expiration date for 3 years from now. And now one of the beautiful things about user fields is I can actually store a copy of her background check and associate that with her individual record. So here underneath load, I'm going to click on load. I'm going to get my example and open. And if I want to, I can preview it. So I can see a preview of that background check there. And I can go ahead and save that data. So anytime I need to refer to that background check, anytime I need to retrieve it, I have that option. I don't necessarily need to keep a paper copy in the office if I don't want to because it's stored here, it's secure here. I can retrieve it at any time. And so I have that option. So not only can I create unique individual user fields that I need to track the data for my organization, they're organized by program, so I can access those user fields depending on what program I'm in and what program I need. But once I create those fields, I can also run reports on that information as well. So it's the middle of March, and let's say I need to check to see who has an expired background check for this specific month, because I need to reach out to those individuals so I know, hey, you need to redo your background check, or you're not going to be able to serve while we're waiting for that new one to come in. Because I created that user field, I'm going to go to reports, membership reports. I'm going to go to listing and exports, individual custom listing and exports. All right, and then I've configured my advanced find. So in this case, I'm using related records. I've got my individual user fields over here. The fields that I'm searching on are the background check expires date And I want to set up my search that it's greater than March 1st of 2025, but it's less than April 1st of 2025. And I'll just refresh that there. I've got results. I'll click on OK. And then when I refresh it here, so now I know that these are the individuals that have an expired background check. And so I'll know that I can reach out to them so they can make sure to get that updated information, all by using a user field that I needed for my organization. Another example I want to provide for you today is how you can utilize user fields when it comes to tracking and completing your employee record information. So I'm going to go back to my master code settings here. So I'm going to go to File, Master Coding System. Someone asked earlier, like what exactly is the master coding system? Sometimes it can sound a little bit scary, but really this is where we keep all of the coding that you have access to in CDM Plus. And it really allows you to be able to customize and manage fields so you can easily see them on different records. So instead of having to go and manually entering in information for certain fields each time, you have that option to use these codes to create drop-down boxes to make it really easy to select, helps things to stay consistent. And once you set it up that one time, then you can use it often. So very, very helpful and great ways to utilize the master coding system. Someone referred to it as our coding HQ. So that's also kind of a fun way to look at it. So here, I'm going to go back to user fields and I'm going to click on employee because I want to kind of manage some of the paperwork that we receive when somebody becomes an employee. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add my user field set. And I'm going to label this as my employee onboarding. All right, so once I have my employee onboarding process here, that's the set that I've created. I'm going to go ahead and add user fields that are going to be related to that set. So here, if I click on add user fields, let's say I want to track their resume and application. So I can actually store a copy of their resume or application, and it will be associated with their employee record. This is going to be raw data. So I'm going to click on the raw data option here. And if I click on add user field, I'm going to also want a copy of their W-4. And again, this is going to be raw data. I need a copy of their I-9, and I'm going to use raw data. We do direct deposit here, so I want to make sure that I get a copy of their direct deposit paperwork. And this again is going to be raw data. You can also think about what are other different onboarding processes you may have. So maybe your new employees, they watch certain onboarding videos or training videos or different things like that. You can add that. So in this case, we're going to put watched onboarding videos. And I'm going to make this actually a yes, no. That way it's just a simple yes, it's just like a check mark, right? You're just checking that off that list. Yep, they completed that step, so we can continue. And then again, you'll be able to run a report to see if there's anybody who needs to add that information or that data there. So I've created all these different user fields here for this set. And so that I can make sure that I see all these together. Again, I can kind of utilize this as my onboarding checklist. I'm going to make sure that I lock this set here and save. Now, if I close my master coding system here, and I'm going to go to Program, Payroll, Employee Records, and I'm going to select one of my employees. Now here, if you don't see the user fields tab, simply kind of use these arrows and kind of use them to help kind of scroll over. If this is something that you find that you use a lot, you can always kind of move that tab over. So maybe it's a little bit easier to get to. But then when I click on user fields here, and then I'm going to click on change on the left sidebar, enable lock set. So all of those different user fields are right here. I know that these are all pieces of information that I need to make sure I load before I can finish the onboarding of this employee. So again, for the resume application, I can simply click that load button. I can find my resume example here and add it. Same with my W-4. Same with my I-9. And again, I can electronically store all of this information, and then I can retrieve it anytime. And then if my employee has watched my onboarding videos, I simply check that box that lets me know that that has been done. And then I click on save. And then again, anytime I need to retrieve that information or preview that information, I can simply click on that preview button. And then I have that preview, that information is all stored securely and easily. It's easily accessible, and I can review it anytime that I need. Again, those are just two examples of ways that you can really utilize the user fields. Again, if you wanted to track, for all of your preschoolers, maybe they are really picky and they have a favorite snack, and knowing that information is going to be super helpful, especially when, maybe times changes and they're a little bit cranky. You just need to pull out that favorite snack. You can track that information. Maybe your CPA encouraged you to track something specific for your mortgage. And so for a ledger entry record, you needed to track that little note from your CPA about those entries. You have that option there. Lots of different ways that we can utilize our user fields here. That concludes kind of our examples of how you can utilize them. So right now we are going to go ahead and open this up for some questions.
I have a question in the chat. Can someone who uses user fields give some examples of other ways they can use it?
I'll go ahead and jump in on that. This is Alex. I'm a CEO here at Saran, and thank you all so much for coming in today. User fields work great, certainly on the membership side for looking at information for people. These also do a fantastic job in the accounting side of CDM Plus, or even in Roommate. When you use the mobile scanning feature in CDM Plus Mobile, you get your scans of your receipts attached to the invoice, and they reside in the user field section. But you don't have to use mobile for that. If you have a bill or an invoice or any sort of PDF or anything for a particular payment, you can track that directly on the invoice or the ledger entry record. I also think it's a great use case if you've got a contract or any sort of information for a particular vendor. You can put those in that vendor record file to say, here's the contract we have with this person, here's our service agreement. That also works great, of course, on customers as well. And the roommate section lets you track all your rooms and facilities. So if you have any warranties or manuals, and you can also put URLs in here. So it's a great way to store links to online resources. It's really just a way to sort of expand what you use CDM Plus to track things for. And we keep all this information backed up, linked into your CDM Plus database. So if you have turnover, you have people that are maybe working between a home office and another location, user fields make it a great way to go paperless and keep everything connected together. So those are just a few of the use cases that I can think of off the top of my head. We have a variation of CDM Plus at Saran that we use, and it tracks everything from merchant credentials to paperwork and all kinds of things. So we use this to power our operations every single day.
Another question from Melissa in the chat says, I have in my user field a loose change offering field. I didn't create this field, and I assume it was used to track those who donated to this offering in the past. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think just another great example of a way someone was really utilizing the user fields. I see Tisha's comment about, underneath membership, this is where they keep like caregiver information for elderly members. We've also seen like people be able to track like living wills and funeral arrangement requests, those types of things underneath membership. I love the fact that it just makes it so that you don't have to, again, have paper copies of data. Any of the fields that become searchable, so you can run reports on it, but definitely great ways to use it. Well, great. If you guys have any more questions, definitely feel free to stay around. We'd be happy to answer those questions. Thank you so much for your time today. Have a great rest of your day.